Welcome to India and Indian News. Our guest today is Vikram Venkatasubramanian. Did I say that?
Venkatasubramanian.
Excellent, thank you. Venkat is this year heading a panel discussion at Innovation Track at upcoming TiECON conference, which is the largest entrepreneurial conference in New England. Going to happen on April 27th and 28th at Westin Hotel. He is leading a panel on cybersecurity, which is an interestingly and very important topic for discussion today. Anybody who uses computer or cell phone or iPhones, and we're going to talk to him about cybersecurity in general and also about his panel at TiECON. So, welcome to our program, and thank you so much for your time.
Much appreciated. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So let's go back. Cybersecurity is a very important issue. Everybody's concerned about their privacy and all this stuff. So tell us about what is your idea and thought about cybersecurity and what you are going to accomplish at the TiECON.
Absolutely. So there are multiple things happening in the world right now, right? So in terms of just our general lives, the attack surface for anybody who wants to attack us is increasing in terms of the number of devices, whether it's in your home or in your enterprise. IoT is exploding. The number of attack vectors is also increasing because of the number of apps you're using and the amount of data we're putting out, right? So anything that you think of in terms of computing, whether it's network storage, compute, data, all of that is exploding. So there are more things to attack in more places. And on top of that, we have a post-pandemic world where people are working from home. There's a whole new international political, geopolitical situation right now with the war happening. And now we have the commoditization of AI. So it's become also easier for people to attack those with intent to attack. It used to be that complex attacks could be only carried out by very accomplished attackers and nation states. But now with the commoditization of AI, the skill level has gone down, right? So it's not used to need to have intent and skill, but then the skill barrier is lowered with an expanding attack surface. So it's really important to think about the concept of cybersecurity, not just in the enterprise, but in the home, because the two are linked because of things like work from home, hybrid work, remote work, etc. So I think there's a lot of relevance for everybody, whether or not you're in the industry of cybersecurity or outside of it.
Yeah. Now, before we talk about the cybersecurity and your panel at TiECON, tell us about you also in the same similar business. Tell us about your company, when did you start and what you do?
Sure. So my company, Nandi Security, we are an online privacy and security company. We focus on protecting people from privacy and security threats in the home. So today, everything in your home is a computer. The number of devices is increasing. My home has about 23 connected devices, many of which are not laptops. Light bulbs, refrigerators, televisions, smartwatches, all of these are also computers. And we need a way to protect ourselves against threats on all of these. The problem we are solving for is that we are working with the fundamental understanding that you cannot address cybersecurity in the home without addressing privacy. Simply because if I know where you bank, where you shop, how often, where you work, where you trade, etc., then it's much more easy for me, what kind of health conditions you have, right? What kind of interests you have. It's much more easier for me to target attacks against anybody in the home, and hence probably even get into the enterprise that they are associated with.
So how much of this is a real threat and how much is the perceived threat?
Yes. So what we are seeing already with our product today is that on average, 10% of the traffic is related to either data collection by unknown entities, sometimes malicious entities, and then there's also the malicious phishing, malware, botnets, etc. Multiple of the resellers that we are working with today are already reporting that Russians are attacking home routers and converting them into botnets. So this is real, especially right now. So the privacy threat comes from the fact that we are using more and more apps, and we don't know who's behind these apps and how we can trust the data that we give to these apps. We are not even aware of what data we give to these apps, right? So we are actively seeing on any given day upwards of 10% of your traffic in your home being completely junk and related to privacy violations and or security violations.
So now my question to you is for a consumer like me who doesn't understand technology, all I need to do is go to my phone or go to my television or computer and do some work. This is how my understanding is.
That's correct.
So can you give us some tips, for example, for someone, a consumer like me, that what are the 2 or 3 things you should really definitely avoid when it comes to security?
As it matters in your home?
At the home, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first and
Or
foremost,
in the office too.
yeah, first and foremost is passwords, right? Try to make it as hard as possible. My tip is make it minimum of 11 characters with a mix of uppercase, lowercase, letters, and characters. That makes it, if somebody's going to brute force attack that password, it's going to take them an order of decades to be able to do it. So at least make it hard for them. So also be aware of where you need to change these passwords, not just on your apps. It could be as simple as on the router itself to your home. Many people don't even bother changing the default password on the router. So it doesn't matter how many apps you change your password on. If you don't change on the router, anybody can get in and pretty much have access to all devices and apps. Second tip is always keep every device updated. I think that is fundamental and for in terms of security patches as well as firmware updates, etc. It's a pain, but many vendors are indeed on top of the security vulnerabilities that are there on their apps and devices, and they do patch them. So at the minimum, keep those updated.
So now coming back to the passwords, now there's so many passwords. How many passwords one has to remember? Now on that front, I have one serious question for you. Can you have the same password for other devices, or every device would have a different password?
Oh, without a doubt, we should have a different password for every device. The reason being that you can't control which vendor gets breached. Right? So if one vendor gets breached and the passwords go out, the first thing that hackers do is use these tools that do password. They use the same password and try it on various other devices. Like I said, where you shop, what devices you own, what apps you own, all that information is out there. So they can cross-correlate that with exactly what they need to use for which kind of device in your specific house and launch attacks on that. So I would strongly recommend at least making it hard for them by keeping different passwords on different devices.
And what about businesses? Like if you transfer this concept about just consumers and home and take it to the business. So a lot of our viewers and readers are also, business owners as well. So what is the standard, what they should be doing?
Yeah, so from a business standpoint, yes, password hygiene, and there are enterprise software tools that are been available for 2 decades or more at this point, which will help you enforce password hygiene amongst your employee base. Right? So at the minimum, you should have that and the training for your employees. But then there are tools available on top of that as well in terms of second factor and then network security, etc. As a business, I think you should really start to think about your business as a full network perimeter. And in terms of not just the devices, but also the apps, the services, and the people. All of these constitute a perimeter. And think about how you're going to have a front line of defense and a second line and a third line of defense.
Okay. So now, what is the goal is going to be of yours at the TiECON cybersecurity panel? What do you want to accomplish and how you are going to accomplish that?
Absolutely, right. So it's an entrepreneurship conference. TiECON East is an entrepreneurship conference. So the intent is to highlight with a bunch of cybersecurity experts some of the key problems in the industry over the next 3 to 4 years at the minimum. So that people can start to think about how can we address this, whether you're an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur, and start to develop solutions for these. So we are thinking of doing something very different in this year's TiECON East cybersecurity panel. We're going to have a set of experts on the panel, and we're going to actively try and identify and solve a problem and literally try to create a startup in the 40 minutes. And we're going to try and beat ChatGPT at being able to do that same task.
You're going to do live there?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, good. So now I'm also hearing that that there's the same day of same week there is a big security conference somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any clash with that at the TiECON or?
Yeah, RSA conference is the same week in San Francisco, but it does wind down in time. But we are also lucky in that if there are 3 hubs for cybersecurity in the world, one is Silicon Valley, second is Boston, third is Tel Aviv, right? And we happen to be one of them, and there's so much talent out there that we're going to have the right kind of experts on this panel to be able to be able to who are intent on getting here on time. So this is the ecosystem they play in. This is the community they live in, and they're happy to support the entrepreneurs.
So I can understand Boston cybersecurity and Silicon Valley as well. You mentioned Tel Aviv. Tell us a little bit more about that, because how that has become a hub for the cybersecurity.
I mean, I've had the opportunity to work for an Israeli cybersecurity startup for several years of my career, and had the opportunity to visit Tel Aviv many times over. I mean, the geopolitical ecosystem that they live in is a big driver for them to have. One way to be able to force multiply is with intelligence, and the ecosystem that they have developed and the number of people who come out of the Israeli military intelligence, having worked on cyber defense and signals intelligence, who come out of startups is just unbelievable. The talent level, the experience level, and the kinds of problems that they've seen, that they've applied these talents towards are phenomenal, and the technologies that come out are amazing. So the ecosystem of companies there is fantastic. What is very interesting is that there is a good interchange, especially between the Boston area and Tel Aviv. A lot of those founders have settled here as well and started these companies here. We've had multiple companies here, Cyber Reason, Tufin, CyberArk, etc., all by Israeli founders, which have done extremely well right here in the Boston area. So we have an excellent interchange, which I think is good for the Boston entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Now, if you look in the larger context now, with all this security and all the, earlier you alluded to this about the global security and all the wars going on, and there is always possibility, that you book a flight and the airlines are cancelled or something is screwed up there. The power grid is attacked, which we have suspected a number of times. So what will be your tips on those fronts? So of course, there are a lot of things we cannot do anything about that. But how serious is that, and how common it can be in the future if the protection is not taken right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is very serious, right? I mean, there's a reason the current administration is taking a lot of steps to fortify the entire technology stack all the way from the chip level, right? Because so much of this is owned by other countries and can be controlled by other countries. There are lots of companies that are still using even security devices that are manufactured. So the number of layers in which these threats can exist go all the way from the chip level to the very top of the application level. So yes, the threat is real. The ability to be able to shut it down is real. But to shut down a whole power grid or shut down a whole airline system or to take down airlines would be considered an act of war. I don't think that is going to be an active possibility unless the country is in an active state of war. But that's the problem with something like the equivalent of a Cold War, is that there are much more subtle ways in which these can happen in terms of stealing of IP from the companies that you have, or getting in and taking various pieces of information, or disrupting processes that result in increased costs. All those kinds of things where you can't quite pinpoint the source of the attack. Or even prove definitively that that's the person. Or even if you do, you can't get them because they're not in a jurisdiction where you can get them. So those are the kinds of things that these abnormal disruptions that is easily caused and are being caused as you speak. One of the big things to keep in mind is that we are also coming up in the next decade or so with leaps and bounds in quantum computing, and countries are already thinking about that. So they don't need to necessarily even attack. They can capture every packet of information, even though it's completely encrypted today, and store it off because they will have the ability to decrypt it tomorrow. So what's a secret today? Every text you send, every message you send, every app you use, every piece of communication you have, whether you use a VPN or not, doesn't matter. If you think it's a secret today, it's going to be open tomorrow. And so hack now, decrypt later is a different vector. So there are all of these subterfuge activities that are constantly going on, and the repercussions of which can be large depending on what the geopolitical scenarios are going to be. So we need to be careful about what we leak and how we protect ourselves today.
And what are some of the countries which are really ahead in this game? Of course, the United States.
Yeah.
What are some other countries?
I mean, there's, I think in the last decade or so, pretty much a lot of the European Union, India, China have all really ramped up the game. People are ahead in terms of the uh, cyber threats that they can defend against, but also cyber threats that they can create in terms of their geopolitical opposition. And now with advancements and commoditization of tools like AI, I think we should think about, okay, it's not just nation states, but also entities within nation states who may not be related to the government, who can also start to engage in this game and create new kinds of threats.
Yeah, that can be very challenging and very serious. Anybody can, and AI is changing the whole game.
Yeah.
With the little resources and little bit skills here and there, you can create a lot of problems. Now, I know you briefly again mentioned about the type of panelists, but do you have anybody particular in mind to bring on the panel?
Yeah, so this is going to be an exciting panel. So we're going to have a set of panelists, and let me throw some teasers in terms of what they bring to the table.
Okay.
We are going to have a very high-profile CISO. One of the people is a high-profile CISO. At least two people have worked in the military. At least two people have worked in consumer side. All the panelists have worked on enterprise side. At least two people have been owners of cybersecurity products, meaning they built cybersecurity products. At least one person is a CTO, and at least one person is a CMO. So we have a mix of skills on this panel, which is what you need. So think about this panel as a core team of a startup, as the founding team of a startup. They're going to sit there on stage and try to pick a problem and solve it better than ChatGPT. So the skill sets that they bring, the experience that they bring is extremely varied and on point. And if you add up all the experience that you have on that stage that day, it's going to add up to close to 100 years of experience in cybersecurity. Keep in mind, that's an industry where the word cybersecurity did not exist 20 years back.
Yeah. So now, in terms of audience, who should be really attending this your panel there at the TiECON? Is it for the consumers? Is it for the entrepreneurs? Is it for anybody who's interested, who's scared about this?
Yeah, if you're interested in cybersecurity, definitely this is for you. If you're an entrepreneur looking to think about start a company or a cybersecurity company and what kinds of problems you could start to dig into, definitely. Because one of the takeaways that we intend to leave for the audience is a list of or a set of ideas and unsolved problems that people need to start thinking about in terms of solutions. And third, even if you're not into cybersecurity, if you are any kind of a company, you have assets, you want to understand what are the new kinds of threats that could affect your company, your business, then definitely this is for you, because this is going to give you some insight into what are literally some of the biggest issues over the next 3 to 5 years.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoyed chatting with you.
Likewise.
And learned a lot about cybersecurity, and we will definitely be at the TiECON.
Look forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.